Alright, so we're at Sweet Marlays Coffee, and this is the meet and greet. So I'll kind of show you, we got a group, we're all just chit-chatting, getting to know each other. So Bjorn, like we said, is over. He's doing a surprise thing with his friends, so it's just us here. Freya and Xander and Cambriea. Here we go. So for everybody that showed up, thanks for showing up. It was good getting to know ya. And now back to the show. Yeah! Welcome back to another Cambriea and Bobby After Dark. So, today we're going to kind of switch it up a little bit. We're not doing Am I the Asshole? But we are going to do a relationship video.
We figured we are professionals.
13-year professionals. So, does that really qualify us?
Probably not.
Not as much as others, but I mean, we did get our rings tattooed on our fingers, so that means something, right? So, 13 years, as long as, well, I mean, I am older, as long as I don't die young, I mean, we should be able to make it pretty long.
I would hope so.
Yeah. You never know. I mean, my dad's not dead, so, I mean, I got a shot. And his dad's not dead, so I got a good shot.
That's a very good shot.
So, maybe it could be a long time. And the women in your family live forever.
This is true. Great-grandma was almost 101 years old.
Yeah. And your grandma's not showing any signs of slowing down
Anytime
soon. She
No.
still walks without a walker, without a cane.
Yeah.
So, I mean, probably.
Story is I, 23 female, and my husband, 23 male, are unsure if we should get a divorce. Any advice is appreciated.
Wow, 23 and you're already talking about divorce?
Yes, but there's a lot to this story.
Okay.
All right, so some information has been changed because of family and friends. So they're omitting some of the personal information. But
Pretty normal.
met when we were 9, started dating at 12. Mind you, this was middle school type dating. He cheated on me when we were 15 or 16. Understandably, they can't remember. That's a good bit.
It's a very hormonal age, too.
Yes. At this point, we were on again, off again, which continued until we were 17.
Okay.
I got a full ride to a university across the country for athletics and academics. When I was 18, my first and only semester there, I hated. I hated the team and the coaches, and I had no friends.
Ew.
He flew out to visit me, and we got engaged at 18 years old. He flew back a little over a month later, and we had a courthouse wedding and came home after the semester finished.
Dang, so they're young.
Yeah. He was 18 and I was 19 when he joined a very difficult, prestigious branch in the military. He left for 3 months for training, which was difficult, but we did fine. He came back for a few weeks and then left for a few more months for school for his particular job. During this time, I would later find out he signed himself up for Bumble. I don't know what Bumble is. I'm assuming it's a dating app. And paid $50+ in upgrades for more swipes.
Oh.
Swiping left.
He's like, better pile them up.
Oh, he insists he never met anyone from it, and no conversations that he had were ever anything more than introductions. He also, again, I would later find out a few years later, spent over $600 at a strip club. He says he was pressured by seniors to go and ended up paying for a VIP room for one of his buddies because he got the room and they didn't have the money to pay for it. And my husband said his friend was going to get in trouble. That weekend, we would go up and down the coast going to various clubs and other strip clubs from what I've gathered. At 19, we moved states and got our first house together. At 20, he deployed. This would be a very difficult time in our lives, and even more difficult after he got home. He developed a pornography addiction while deployed.
I'm addicted to porn and I masturbate constantly.
I remember sitting on the bathroom floor at 4 a.m. refreshing one of his social media accounts, which I could see his follower numbers go up about every 5 minutes. All porn accounts. He pressured me for pictures and videos, and I would feel guilty for not doing the things he wanted, and I felt like if I didn't, he was just going to find someone else to do it for him. So she had access, not that matters, but to his account while he was deployed?
Well, they were married.
Yeah. Just interesting that she like had his socials on her phone. He came home 6 months later and we were okay, except I noticed after a few weeks that as soon as he came home from work, he would practically beeline to the bathroom and shower for 45 plus minutes. Sometimes I would even go into the bathroom after I could tell he had dropped the bottle of lube on the ground. And it was still slippery, or I could see the ring on the counter from the bottom of the bottle.
Not being the street guy. Jeez.
I did my best to ignore it until one day I saw a charge on our account for $30 to someone with a very interesting name.
Oh.
I confronted him and he immediately looked away, took a deep breath, and brushed his hand through his hair and spurted out a quick excuse that it was his buddy's wife who bought them all lunch during work. I don't know why, but I said okay and left it at that. He got up a few minutes later saying he felt sick and went to lie down. I got a text from him an hour later saying he was sorry and that he developed a pornography addiction over deployment, and he sent money to a girl for her premium Snapchat or something. He says he felt so guilty he didn't even look at anything and he deleted her right away.
Yeah, right.
After he sent the money. I realized that the day this transaction took place, he had bought me flowers. He has never done that before, not even on a special occasions. Okay, so maybe he did feel guilty.
Yeah, after he checked out the Snapchats.
Not true. From here on, the dates get confusing for me. I don't remember what happened first or when or how far apart, but I'll do my best to include as much information as I remember. Sometime later, maybe a week or maybe a month, I woke up to a message from an old acquaintance on a certain social media. I think we were still 20 or maybe 21. I don't remember what exactly she said. Something along the lines, I just wanted you to know X said this to me, or something like that. He had messaged her the night prior while drinking at a friend's house down the road, that he loved and missed her. I wish so badly I could remember more, but for some reason I can't. I know she said something like, you can't be saying this, you're married, and he said something along the line of, I don't care.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
No.
That's bad.
I screamed at him to wake up, but he was still drunk. I told him I wanted a divorce. I locked myself in the bathroom and hurt myself because I wanted to feel something other than how I felt at the moment.
Hurt herself? She cut herself?
Something like that.
Really?
I don't know how much time passed when he opened the door. He said he didn't send those messages. He said that he left his phone plugged in to a speaker and his friend was using it to play music. He said his friend must have seen the girl's stories and messaged her trying to get nudes. He even pulled out his phone with proof, a text conversation between him and his friend confirming that the friend had messaged her and said he was sorry. I don't know why, but I believed him immediately. I remember having the most euphoric feeling of, I don't know the words, but whatever you feel when you let out a breath you've been holding and say, oh, thank goodness. I'm getting frustrated writing this because I realize how much I have forgotten, and I feel like I'm missing something. At 21, I think shit hit the fan. I think at this point I had gone through his phone several times and found internet history and links that he had clicked through one of the social media accounts to hundreds of different OnlyFans sites. One night I went through his entire bank account history since 2018 and found the charge for a strip club and Bumble. He said the Bumble charge wasn't him. It was a senior who used his card because his had gotten frozen or something ridiculous like that. I, of course, believed him. I don't know why. I can't remember at what point I found out that he lied about messaging the girl on social media. I think it was after I had looked through his phone again and found text messages between him and his friend that was the one who allegedly sent the messages. His friend said something like, "Bro, I can't even go to parties that your wife is at because she hates me, LOL," or something like that. But they both confirmed that I didn't want to believe. My husband had taken my phone, deleted the messages sent to me by the girl, and I got his friend in on his elaborate story. I can't remember when I found out that he did, in fact, download and pay for upgrades on Bumble. I think I just knew at this point he was lying and grilled him long enough that he relented. He said he never met anyone or anything, and he said during the conversation, I only paid for the upgrade because no one would ever swipe for me or something like that. I can't remember at what point we went to legal on base and got information to file for divorce. I'd never seen him cry before, besides one other time. After we got married at the airport, he cried so hard that he wouldn't let me see, just hugged me and buried his face into my chest so I wouldn't see. He said he didn't want to leave, but he cried consistently after. I told him this was it and that I had an appointment and paperwork filed out to file for divorce. I'd never seen him like this before, consistently saying he was sorry, deleting every social media account he'd ever owned, crying at a drop of a pin, saying things like he will never marry again. I could have everything in our savings. He'd pay for me to finish college if that's what I wanted. I relented and we went to marriage counseling. He stepped up a lot. He was never on his phone anymore, would keep his phone unlocked and face up on the table, told me I could go through it anytime I asked, promised to stop watching porn. He even started cleaning the house and making dinner before I got home from work. He stopped drinking with his friends. It was a complete 180 for a while. The issues started to arise when every little thing would trigger a panic attack. He couldn't hang out with his friends without me freaking out. He began drinking with his friends again, maybe a few weeks later. One night, he wasn't home by the time he told me he would be, and I just broke. I ended up in the hospital, and it was just the start of a toxic cycle. He would do something that would trigger me, whether it be drinking with his friends or the occasional YouTube short I would see on his watch history of half-naked women with her tits out and bouncing up and down. I would scream at him and berate him and degrade him because I wanted him to feel exactly how I felt. I think marriage counseling eventually helped a lot. After the hospital, I finally got my own therapist. She was my best friend. I still text her to this day. I didn't have any friends where we lived. He worked with his friends every day, and every weekend they would all party. I didn't have anyone. My friends and family were back home. I'm shy and have really bad social anxiety and have always had trouble making friends because I can't seem to even open my mouth when there's more than 3 people in a room. Whenever he would leave to go anywhere, I felt so alone. I think at 22, our marriage really started improving again. We went on vacation together and were able to work through a lot of issues. And we were able to communicate things we were feeling, and it was amazing. We both felt so heard, and we were able to find happy mediums on issues relayed boundaries, and each of us respected. I was 23 when I moved home a few months before his contract ended. He tied up his loose ends and the house and worked, and he moved back home with me. He tried working night shift blue collar job, making good money, even more than he made in the military, but he hated it. He hated everything about it. He missed his friends and his job. His friends were his family. This was the first time I'd ever seen him truly depressed. 5 months later, he joined a different branch of the military. I didn't want him to. I wanted him to stay and have a normal life with me. I wanted to work normal jobs and have a family. He doesn't. He said he doesn't even want a family. I had started nursing school, and my best friend, whom I'd hardly ever got to see, had a baby. I finally had a group of friends and family I was able to hang out with every week. He left and got stationed in a different state, but only about 600 miles away this time. Far, but drivable. It's very far for marriage.
It's a far drive.
That's a far drive. That's not a quick little...
Well, I'll just pop in.
Yeah. He came home for visits after only a few weeks of being there. We were doing good at this point, texting and calling a lot. A little over a month ago, he left to go across the country for a 6 weeks exercise in the desert. He didn't have his phone for most of it, but he was able to text me once over a week ago. He didn't text again after that, until I messaged him letting him know that a pet of mine had died. He replied immediately. I've realized that he has had his phone, but just hasn't been talking to me. Yesterday, he texted me in the morning letting me know that he was going to spend an upcoming holiday with an old military friend from his previous branch. And then a holiday after that, he wanted to go see extended family in a different state. We've talked a lot since then. Not about anything good. I've asked why he's pushing me away, and he said he's focused on his goals. I said I felt like I was being put on the back burner until he was ready to acknowledge me and our marriage. And I tried to tell him he didn't have to be alone and that I would support him. He said, "You can't, though. You say you can, but you didn't support college or the CIA." So I kind of felt I should just do this alone and get rid of some of the negativity, and I realized he was right. He brought up college when we were about 21, maybe 22, and I actually scoffed at him because I didn't realize he was being serious. I didn't believe he could do something like that. He barely graduated high school. He went to 4 different high schools total, never getting above a 1.5 GPA. I tried doing his homework to keep him afloat, but he didn't care. I even got him enrolled in the same online academy that I attended due to public school not fitting around my athletic schedule. And I had to do every class and every assignment for him because he would never do them. He ended up graduating from what you would call an alternative high school. After telling me he wanted to go to college, he then told me he was going to join the CIA. This was just unfathomable to me. I didn't know what to do because he wanted my support, but I also didn't want to lie to him and tell him I believed in him. I guess I still don't. And I feel awful, and I can't imagine the feeling of your spouse not supporting you unconditionally. I don't know how to support him in something I don't think he can do. And now we're here. Neither of us want a divorce. Both of us know our relationship hasn't been the best. We both don't know what to do. I would feel so lost and empty without him. I've known him for more than half of my life. Our personalities are formed around each other. We talk the same. We have the same mannerisms. We experienced growing up together and becoming adults together. I just want to add that these experiences I've listed were the worst times. We've had amazing experiences together. We have so much fucking fun together. That's her words. He makes me laugh more than anyone else can. He knows everything about me and has been there for every important moment in my life. I'm absolutely terrified of the future. I'm scared to tell my family if we get divorced. I don't want to be another statistic. I know we got married young. I know we are a military family. I know that. I know that most of these marriages ended in divorce, but I really fucking thought we would be different. I don't want to start over. I'm almost 24, and I know that's still considered young, but I've known him for 14 years. I thought we would have started thinking about having a family together by now. He just wanted to focus on his career and says he doesn't think he even wants a family. I don't know what to do anymore. I think there's a lot to unpack in that.
That's a really long story. Yeah, there's a lot in that.
So obviously, all the stuff he did is unacceptable. But once you get down to the bottom of it, I also don't think she was the best wife in this situation.
She didn't cheat on him. She didn't do anything, really.
No, but if every time you brought up something you wanted to do and I shot you down and basically told you you weren't good enough.
Yeah, it's not.
It kills your emotional relationship.
Yeah, not exactly the thing you should say.
No.
Yeah.
But I also think a lot of this comes with how good is their communication, or were they just comfortable because they've been together for so long?
And that's what it kind of sounds like.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to move on, even though there are some warning signs. Originally, like, obviously she wants a family. He said he doesn't. This was years ago when he stated it. So she was hoping that he would change his mind, which is possible. But when he kept saying it consistently, that's a red flag.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's certain things that should always be non-negotiables. Kids is a non-negotiable. If someone wants kids and someone absolutely does not, it's hard to overcome that. Yes, it can change down the road, but what if it doesn't? Someone always is going to feel like they are compromising for the other person.
Yeah.
It's one thing if it's like, oh, I want 1 kid and I want 3 kids.
Yeah.
Because those
numbers could change.
Can easily change.
There's a lot of factors in that. Mm-hmm. So as long as you both are on the same page of we want at least a kid, then that's at least.
It also sounds like, even though they'd known each other for a very long time, they were you're getting deployed, let's get married real quick so we get the benefits.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do that.
Yes.
It is a thing. And out of the people I know that did that, I want to say half of them are divorced. So, yeah. No, that story is just kind of funny though, because his porn addiction. That's a thing overseas though. Like, I knew guys that's all they did was like collect porn. So it's like, oh, you got this? Oh, let's put it on my hard drive, And they would just collect as much as possible. I mean, there's dudes with like terabytes of fucking porn. And it's like, why? You don't need that much. That's a lot. But it's crazy. But yeah, that is a thing that guys do on deployment. I mean, what else are you gonna do? It's either you play video game. Well, you actually like do your job.
You mean when you're off though? When
you're not on duty, your other options are, if you have the ability, play video games. Or there's always porn, because especially now with like cell phones, you may not be able to necessarily have like your phone on to be able to like make a call, but you still physically have it, so you could watch stuff on it. And then that's just like maybe his stress reliever, especially you're not home. So at least think of it this way. It sounds really bad, it really does, but think of it this way. If he's watching porn, that means he ain't hooking up with some other girl.
I was thinking of that, because there's plenty of bed hoppers.
Oh, yeah.
Also, that
Yep.
at least he wasn't
At least he wasn't doing
bedding
that.
one of the bunnies.
Yep. He wasn't doing that, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's just online surfing or watching snappy chats and whatnot.
So, my other thought, I honestly think all this whole marriage is an emotional connection issue and a communication issue. Because he was talking to her about getting stuff, and it sounds like she never sent it.
Yeah. But also, I think there was some, like she said, she wasn't very sociable, and he obviously was, because he's around all his friends, from work. So, like, I bet you there was a little bit of resentment there on her part, because he was enjoying himself while, being on active duty. And, she was kind of
felt like she was just stuck in the house.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, I guess that's where, I mean, there could be a lot more to this story because we only got one side of the story.
Yes.
So there could be a lot more that we don't know about. It could be his side of the story is that she was always pissed at him when he came home or something like that, because he was going out and having fun, and she said she didn't like going out
right
with more than 3 people in the room. So if she was able, especially when you're that young, it's like, hey, what do? You go out to the bar, you go out to the club, you go have fun,
right, because you're still young.
Yeah. And she wasn't able to do that,
right,
and that can definitely make a big difference. Now, I don't agree with him going to all the strip clubs and spending so much money. That's kind of shitty. But when you're with your military buddies, it happens. So you may go to a strip club, maybe not hopefully not a ton, but I mean, there's always the chance that, oh, hey, we should go out this weekend. Well, the strip club's got a bar, we can always go there.
right.
Not always the best idea, because you're going to waste more money, but it is a thing. I mean, you've been with me when we went to a strip club.
Yeah.
It was guys and girls going to the strip club, but we were mainly there for, hey, we're going out for a drink, and
one
just
of our
so
mutual friends worked there.
Yeah, she wasn't a stripper.
Wasn't a stripper.
She wasn't a stripper.
No.
She was a shot girl.
She was a shot girl.
She kept her clothes on.
So, yeah.
So, but yeah, and my buddy's like, hey, I can get us in. And we're like, okay.
I unfortunately don't think anyone's going to be able to give her the advice she wants, for the pure fact of it's one of two things. You're not compatible for each other.
No,
you were comfortable with each other and got married.
Yeah. And they've been together so long, it's all she knows.
Yeah. And all he knows.
Yeah, exactly. And then with him hanging out with other, with guys and other people, it's like, hey, there's more out there.
I think the only possible chance of saving that marriage is counseling. They need to communicate, because I feel like he feels unvalued as a man, which I think is a big deal.
Well, and he feels that. Hey, quit pushing the camera, Drake. You're not that big. You don't need to push it. Weirdo.
Oh.
All right, but also she, he wasn't that smart. I mean, that GPA is pretty low. I mean, it's not like he's. You too now. Jeez, keep
hands
both
in.
back up. Yeah, that GPA is pretty low. Doesn't sound like he was that smart, and she reminded him of it.
Right.
So that's
thing.
Never a good thing.
No.
But, he did have, he was functioning in the military, so, he obviously could do his job if he was active duty. Otherwise, if you suck, they boot you out. I mean, that's just...
Especially since it sounds like he didn't just join...
Or they wouldn't let him rejoin a different branch. So, like, if you sucked, they're going to be like, okay, so you were prior service.
What?
And then they're gonna look into you and be like, okay, well, he's not a complete piece of shit or whatever.
Right.
Sure, you can join our branch.
Well, and she did say his first branch was a prestigious branch in the military.
That's just...
I don't know what that means, but...
It just means he got into a good group. Like, maybe he was Special Forces. Maybe he was intelligence. Which, he's not smart enough to be intelligence. But he was talking about being in the CIA. So... Usually it's those ex-Special Forces guys that go into the CIA to use their skills. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of resentment on both sides. I think she resents him for having that connection of the military family.
Yeah,
and her being
he
left
adapted
home.
well to it.
And I think he resents her for... She was obviously smart. She got a athletic and academic scholarship, full ride. And it seems like she was good at reminding him of that. So should they get divorced?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
I think any relationship
can
is
be
all... Well, not any.
Well, in this situation.
He didn't abuse her or anything like that. Yeah, he spent money on porn and strippers, but
it doesn't sound like he physically cheated.
Yeah, he didn't cheat on her.
It was more of a mentally
He didn't
cheated.
beat her or anything. So, is their marriage fixable? Yeah, absolutely. The main thing to any marriage is communication, and it sounds like there was just a lack of communication.
Yeah.
So...
Marriage counseling.
I mean, they were obviously doing it because he was, trying to get her to make a porn. It's probably, you know what? He probably wanted her to make it so he could watch that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I sound like to me.
Yeah, he wanted to be able to watch that, so then he wouldn't have to pay for porn and feel guilty about it.
We have been in the situation of deployment.
Yeah.
And it's a long time to not have your significant other around. Yeah. So you do things to keep it exciting and not want people to deviate from the marriage.
True, because,
but it has to be wanted on both ends, and it sounds like she didn't want to do anything, and he did.
Yeah, because I definitely, on both my deployments, you knew who was screwing around, and you knew if they were married or not, and you're like, well, yeah, not good. But, that's up to them and their spouse to figure out, so.
Yes.
Oddly enough, one of the people that did cheat on his wife, the person he cheated with, after he was divorced, they got married. So, the girl he cheated with, after they came back, he married her. I think they're still together.
So, one more point to be made for young people, military families, rushing a marriage. Oh, yeah, another reason why it's not a good idea.
Don't get married just because you're going on deployment for that extra money.
And you should go to counseling, military counseling, before you get married.
Well, what happens sometimes is you get married before you leave. Now they have access to your money. And there's some of those guys, they come back home and their bank account's cleared out and all their shit's gone. So, yeah.
It works both ways. It's
works
not
both
just
ways.
the people deployed, it's also the people at home.
Yeah.
The deployed ones just get the worst rep for it.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is, also when you're deployed, and when you do, communicate back home, it might not be what your spouse wants to hear, like, you know, you might just, deployment may just suck and you're just negative, unfortunately, and then that's gonna make your spouse be like, well, I don't really want to be with him, he's not acting the same, is he gonna come back this way, blah blah blah, and then they leave, or they invite Jody over and Jody's, you know, occupying your side of the bed, and then the next thing you know, you come home and there's divorce papers sitting right there, or they just send it over there, you know, like, hey, you got mail. Not good mail. No. There's a lot of different scenarios I've seen, and yeah.
That's why I think in the end, just don't rush marriage before deployment.
No, I mean, even people that were married a long time and then they go on deployment, it's
a struggle. It's hard.
It is.
I remember.
Definitely is. But you got to just keep those lines of communication open, and remember, don't always be projecting negativity when you do communicate, because you don't know, like, are you communicating every day? Where it's like, if we had a bad conversation, it'd be like, okay, well, that was one bad conversation, and then the next time we talk, you're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
fine, you know. But I mean, we were able to communicate fairly often. Now, on my first deployment, we weren't together, but communication wasn't as easy. It was a lot of, well, it was handwriting some letters, but also a lot of email. Like, whenever you were able to get on a computer, man, you were writing emails. There was a thing called Instant Messenger. It's kind of like Facebook Messenger, but even more low tech. And if you were able to make that thing work, that was a big thing. Like, you
could actually chat.
Yeah, like live chat. But when you're on the other side of the world, like, you know, I may be awake and it's nighttime here, you know. So, but it was just reading. But at least it was interaction. It was a little bit more than an email. But yeah, that one was a lot harder. I mean, we did have access to a phone. So between all our guys, in our section, it was everybody sharing a phone. And that was, we kind of had to like, kind of limit it to an extent, because you only have so many lines, like outgoing lines. Well, I think there's might only been that one in our shop. But yeah, it's like, hey, everybody needs a turn. So, I mean, some guys actually like had cell phones that they bought, and they were expensive.
Yeah, but based off of this story, it sounds like his deployment was closer to your most recent deployment.
Yeah.
So they should have had cell phones and all the things to have plenty of communication.
Yeah. Depending on where he was, there's limitations. But yeah, he probably had a cell phone, and, you know, I mean, it's crazy. You think when you're like deployed in the desert, you're all like, yeah, there's nothing. But keep in mind, a lot of those Middle Eastern countries, they have cell phones. There's cell phone towers, so that means there's a network. So yeah, nowadays, yeah, you can totally like
communicate.
You might not have like the data, but you can definitely make calls, no problem. So
yeah.
Unless you're really far off in the middle of nowhere, like everything's blown up. But yeah. Yep.
So I think in the end, they just need to go to counseling. If they both want to fix this marriage, which sounds like they do, they need to go to a lot of counseling.
Yeah.
And part of it's also going to come with growing up. They met young. They are still young. 23, that's young. Still got a lot of maturing to do, a lot of growing to do, a lot of self-reflection. I wasn't really comfortable in my own skin until I hit my 30s. Oh, we have a question, though.
Yeah, let's do a question.
Let's do a question.
That sounds like a good idea.
Let's see if I can find this question.
Oh, you better.
All right, the question is from Tucker saying, where is it? Oh, she says, I don't know if you guys have told the story or not, but can y'all tell us how you chose the kids' names? So, Xander, because really we fell in love with the name Xander and went with Alexander.
Yes. Well, part of the way we chose their names is we wanted strong names.
Mm-hmm.
That
so didn't sound a little kiddish.
Yeah. So, like, we like Xander, but Alexander, I mean, you think about all, like, the famous leaders. Alexander the Great, I mean, he's right there.
Yep.
So there's a lot of other Alexanders, like inventors and stuff like that. But mainly we were doing it for like strong leaders. And Bjorn is pretty, I mean, if you know anything about Vikings, Bjorn Ironside.
Yep.
AKA the Bear.
Which was so accurate for him.
Bjorn was a king, a Viking king. And
then Freya was trying to go with the same theme of the kids' names on a female side. So
yeah.
Freya is the goddess of love and war. So it was a strong female name that we actually liked.
Yes.
And we obviously wanted things that weren't everywhere.
Yeah, but like you also liked the name because you saw it on shows and stuff like that.
Well,
so
that was the same with Bjorn too.
Thought it sounded nice. A lot of witches named Freya.
Yeah. That's where I first heard it, was Witches of East End. And then the originals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like the name.
And then obviously like Bjorn's from, I mean,
Vikings.
The show on History Channel.
Well, Xander I fell in love with because of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, there's Xander from Buffy. I think he spelled it with a Z though.
Yes, where
but
we do it was with an X.
So yeah, but also, Freya and Bjorn are like Nordic Viking names.
Yep.
And my side of the family comes from, they're like the Vikings that left Scandinavia. They moved more outwards. So like when I was trying to do research on it, it was like Polish Vikings, Russian Viking. So they were the ones that kind of migrated outwards to find, you know, new farming land and whatnot. So yeah, so that's there is some part that actually is Viking historic, I guess, relatable. But yeah, no, Bjorn, I think it fit. I mean, he's a big
so
kid.
well.
And
he's been big ever since he was born.
Yeah.
Kid came out at almost 10 pounds at 38 weeks.
Yeah, and like Bjorn means bear.
Uh-huh.
He's kind of big. He gets along great with Bailey, who's a big bear. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like all the kids' names fit them really well, though. Like, when you think of all the really smart inventors named Alexander.
Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah.
Xander actually did a paper on him.
Last year.
Yeah.
So, and then Freya being a little princess.
Yeah.
With an attitude.
Yep.
Her newest thing is telling you you're a bad boy. Doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. She's mad at you. She said, "Bad boy, I'm very mad at you." With her very stern finger and face.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's a little diva.
Yeah.
So they fit. But I think that's it.
Make sure you subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
And smash that like button. Smash it till it doesn't let you smash it anymore. And so we can keep getting these videos made and getting them out to people. The more you like it, the better. For us, and for you, because then we feel more motivated to make more videos and try to make things interesting. So yeah, more likes, we like them. More comments, we like them. So comment if you have any questions.
If you guys have more relationship advice and you guys want to send us questions via Instagram, which is probably the easiest, but you can also leave them in the comments below. We could do another relationship advice as professional married people.
Yep. 13-year professionals.
With your questions, because this one was obviously a Reddit story, but I think it'd be more interesting to get relationship advice questions from you guys.
Yeah. Or if you guys like the question about the kids' names, got questions about our little story, we can do that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, subscribe, smash the like, comment, and
We'll see you next time.
bye.